how's it going? Today I'm showing you around this PC build. I've currently got this for sale. It is built in a Thermaltake T600 chassis, which is absolutely enormous. As you can see, it's actually booted up in the time it took me to tell you what it is. But today I'm going to be showing you around the build and showing you what's included. So the machine is built in the Thermaltake T600, which is not to be confused with the Thermaltake T200, which is just way smaller. It's a similar shape, but side by side, there's just no comparison. This is the full size version. I think it's based on a helicopter cockpit, is what it's supposed to look like. You can see it has glass windows. I wish I could take the little things off so you can see it in all its glory, but I want to leave that for when it gets to its forever home. So you can see it has glass doors on both sides that open, one on the other side too. And you see the solid state drives are stored behind there. So let me take you around, what's inside. So if we open the glass door on the side of the machine, you can see, and again, I haven't taken this off, but the glass is brand new underneath. So you will see we have RGB RAM that's causing a lot of a show at the moment, and then also the motherboard has lighting on. It's got like a breathing effect, if you can see. So we have liquid cooling that goes through the whole setup. So there's a big 40 centimeter fluid tank there. 3 radiators, there's one there, there's one in the front, there's one on the top, which is just unheard of amounts of radiator. There's over a litre of fluid running through this whole unit, which just means the fluid is always cool, it doesn't get hot, it just, basically, you see the fans aren't on. You don't need to run the fans because there's so much radiator, it just slowly vents the heat out. That's absolutely fine. You see the CPU and the graphics card as well, both liquid cooled. So so the fans just don't need to be on. And then if I spin you around the other side of the unit, open the glass door, we have the 3 solid state drives there. This is a fan controller, so you can manually turn the fans on. And that is also a manual lighting controller. So you can control the lights from software, which we'll do in a minute, but you can also just press buttons and control the lighting from there as well if you'd like to. So let's go back around to the other side. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to control the RGB lighting on the memory. So if we go into Armory Crates, which is a program that controls the motherboard and the memory. We go to Aura Effects. So we have breathing on at the moment, so you can see there's the it kind of has a breathing effect like that. We could go to strobing, for example, and you get a sort of pulse. You can change the color to whichever color that you want. So we choose a green, blue, magenta, whatever. You can also do rainbow, for example. You can see that. And then there are other effects which try and balance that a little. This is something that's really hard to show on a phone video. It's it looks much better in person. You can also link it to the game that you're playing so that it changes with the volume. So if you're playing games with loud effects and things, then the memory lights up at times like that. But for now, let's drop it in a sort of radioactive green sort of colour. There we go. So we have a breathing effect on sort of radioactive green colour. So this unit is fitted with a Cooler Master fan controller, which I showed you around the other side. You can control it by pressing the buttons on there, so you can just manually switch it if you want to, or you can control it by software. So you get more options in software. So for example, let's go for breathing again. So if we click on breathing and then we look for the same lime greeny colour, you see that fans have started lighting up. We've already set the RAM, so we've got that fan there. There's a fan in the front, and there's fans on top. So you can see they've all lit up with this lime green colour. Obviously you can choose any colour you want. If you want to go blue or something, there you go, it's as simple as that. And you can see all the fans follow suit. But if you really want to go crazy, you can go to custom, and you can select different fans in the unit. And like say if you thought, actually I want, like this is just ridiculous now, nobody wants to do this. But say if you like blue, and also like red on the sides, and I don't know, like a bit of yellow as well. So you know, I'm feeling that sort of colour pattern. Come around to the front. There it is. On the front fan. So you can control the fans separately. You could leave the others on like that. You could leave the others on a different colour if you want. You see it changing there as I click each one. There's just endless customization that you could do with this. You can just play around for ages. Yeah, so if I go back to, just want like a solid, oh static, there we go. I just want like a static colour. So if we run it back to lime green again. The reason I'm doing this is because the lights do not end there. So as mentioned before, there's about a litre of fluid travelling through the unit. And this fluid is UV reactive. And this is one of those things that really doesn't come across well on camera, I'm afraid. But if you can find a switch at the top, the fluid is UV reactive, and there's a UV bulb in the top of the unit there. So you can turn that on whenever you want. And then the whole unit lights up like that. I just love this. I love that we managed to get a 40 centimetre tank in there. It's just such a huge coolant tank. It's mainly for show. It's just, it doesn't need to be anything like that big. There's no reason to. It just looks great. So I thought it would be good. You can see the pump there, and you can see the fluid going through. See it going through the processor there, and the graphics card. So being one colour is a little bit dull, so we can go for something like Spectrum, and then all the fans will just work through the whole spectrum of colours. It just makes the whole unit come alive. There are kind of in-between settings as well. You could have something like, there's a recoil where it's got a bit of life to it, but it's not too distracting if you're playing games or whatever. But you know, you want this machine to be distracting. Like, it's a huge, overwhelming beast of a computer. You want it to be, you want it to stand out. You want people to notice it. You know, there's no way you're going to miss this. There's also a lighting strip down the bottom there. Can you see that? That's also linked to the same fans. So whatever you tell the fans to do, that lighting strip will copy that. And yeah, and that just sort of. I think if the UV is off, let me turn off the UV. If the UV is off, then it lights up the inside of the computer a little bit more with the fans. I'm going to turn off the UV lighting for a bit because it does tend to steal the show. So I'm going to start up a game, and I'm going to start up Shadow of War. Because it has a cool benchmark feature. Anyway, one thing I haven't told you about is the hard drives and why there are 3. So over the other side, there are 3 matching solid state hard drives. And what they do is, one is for the operating system, and then the other 2 work together. So they're in something called RAID, which means that basically when you save a file, it doesn't just squeeze it through one pipe, squeeze it through 2 pipes. So it basically saves half to one disk, half to the other disk. So almost twice the speed when you're saving things. So that means that all the games start and save and everything really quickly. So say if I start up something like this, and I press run benchmark, and you can just look over here while you're waiting. Anyway, here we go. So this will run a benchmark. So we are getting like 60 frames a second. I think it's as much as this monitor could display anyway. We still don't have the fans on, I don't think. No, the fans are not spinning. So it'll be interesting to see, because that graphics card will be working full right now. So it doesn't make any more noise. There's no fan noise like you would normally get on a computer that's air-cooled, because the fans would now be spinning up and everything would be getting hot and it would be getting noisy and whatever. So let's let it finish this benchmark, see how it does. Okay. So we are out of that 69 frames per second average. And if we rip on over into Task Manager, 38, oh my, like the graphics card didn't even warm up. So the point of this is, heat is what kills electronics, right? So when you get graphics cards that are really powerful, it generates a lot of heat, and the fans have to work really hard. The point of this is not some amazing gaming machine right now. It will absolutely play games like you just saw, but this is like a 1080p monitor. This is not a 4K gaming machine right now. But what it is an extremely capable computer ready for when the new generation of video cards are a bit more available. They're very difficult to get hold of right now because of Bitcoin mining and all sorts of other things. And so the way the fluid cooling works is obviously running fluids over something cools a lot faster than running air over something. But the way the route of the fluid, if you like, is from the main tank into the pump, and then so it goes through the processor, and then it goes into the first radiator at the top. So it vents out that heat before then coming into the graphics card. So it's already cooler, because what some systems do is just one loop. So it'll go through the processor, heat up, go through the graphics card, heat up even more, and then cool. So what this does is goes through the CPU, and then into a radiator at the top, vents out that heat initially, then comes into the graphics card, and you could add another one into that loop if you wanted to, and then it goes through two radiators, the side and the front, to vent that heat. And it's those sheer amount of radiators that means at this point we just don't need to turn the fans on, because there's just not enough, there's so much cooling there, I just don't need to. But if you put two really high spec video cards in here, then you can turn the fans on, you can easily vent that amount of heat, and it'll just handle it really, really easily. So there you go. I think that's about all I have to tell you. The main point about the whole cooling stuff is it's just so quiet. I don't know if you can hear. There's a faint buzz from the pump that's pumping the fluid around, but that's it, because the fans don't need to be on. And if you look, we're running a game here, and the graphics card's working flat out, and it's sitting at under 60 degrees, and 60 degrees is absolutely nothing for, I think they cut off when they get to near 100, and this is absolutely nothing. It's a very hot day and it's sitting there at 50 degrees when it's working flat out with no fans on. This is a machine that's very ready to put in really powerful graphics cards when you're ready to, and you can put two of them in there. It's going to cool that absolutely no problem whatsoever. It's just ready to be with you for a long time. This is a computer that's going to last you a really long time. You could upgrade it like crazy. It has like another 3 SATA ports if you want to add on more storage. You could just expand this all day long. And it's such a big chassis as well. Anything you want to put inside it's not a problem. And it already looks so great. So so I love building this computer. I don't build too many. I do a few a year.